Hey guys, in this one we're going to continue with equipping weapons, and since we have already created sockets and also combat type, all we have to do now is just to create some animation montages and then we can set up our equip weapon function. So first thing we need to do is go to your animations, and you should already have this folder with equip weapons. The link to download this was in the previous video. And what we want to do here is just duplicate each one of these so we have the unequipped ones as well, because these are just equipping weapons, you know, so 100 and then 200. This, by the way, seems to be all the way around. This is actually unequip, so this one I'm going to call unequip 200. Sorry, I haven't checked them really. These are just the default ones. And then just Control and D on this one. This one will be unequip, bow underscore unequip. This one duplicate first, and then it will be unequip, equip, and this one duplicate, and this one needs to be equip. And open these new ones, and rate scale will be -1, so it goes from all the way around. So it is putting away the bow. 100 unequip, rate scale -1, so it's putting away the weapon. And 200, this is unequip, and this one needs to be -1, so it's actually pulling out the weapon, as you can see. Now save all so you don't lose it. So one thing we can, for weapon and shield, this is perfect even though it's called 100, but we can use the same one because it's obviously holding something in the arm. If you want to change it to actually just 100, so if you don't have anything else equipped in offhand, you can just edit it in sequencer and put the arms down. So that's not very difficult. But what we need to actually create is the dual wield, because we don't have anything that pulls out two weapons. So for that I'm going to retarget one of these animations. So let's go to your map. I do have some sequencer here, so just open your sequencer, drag out one of the actors. I'm going to rotate him towards me. Just turn on the snapping. And now I'm going to add actor to sequencer, this one here. And then in the sequencer I'm going to remove seer mannequin body animations. I will add one, and this one will be 100 equip, because what we have is we do have a off hand on the hip and the main hand here, so all we have to do is just retarget this one arm. So right click on this main one, bake to control rig, CR mannequin body, create, and I will create all the keyframes. Now I want to move this arm on the frame 0, so I'm going to rotate it slightly, move it a bit up this way as much as I can go so it doesn't overlap. Then I'm going to move this one and move it here. This will look better if it's down like this. And also maybe wrist, so it's kind of rotated towards where the weapon is. Alright. So this will be frame 0. And then obviously it jumps to the different frames and goes back to default position. So what we need to do is I'm going to go top to bottom, select this one, go to keyframes or key curves, and delete everything after frame 0. So after first frame, save it. Then I'm going to select this one, do the same thing, delete all of these, save it, and select this bottom one, open it, and everything after the first frame. Just make sure you don't delete the first one, because then it won't save it when you change something. And now the arms stay in that position for the rest of it. So what we want to do is, let's find, so basically this guy until frame 10 he's lifting the arm. After the frame 11, 10, 11 is going down. So after the frame 10 we want to pull out the arm basically. So just going to change this and pull it out like that. Turn it, this arm is rotated a bit weirdly, pull it out, maybe even higher, and then wrist a little bit. So now he's pulling his arm out. Okay, that wrist looks a little bit weird. Just like that. Right. And maybe I'm going to rotate this a little bit more. Alright, and now the arm's going down until the position on like frame 18 or 19. So what we want to do is on frame 19, I'm going to move this down and move this here and just actually move it to like a combat position that we want to end up in. Something like this. And now he's actually pulling the arm, and then maybe we can move it on the last frame as well, which is, I'm not sure if it's 20 or 22 or 23. 23. So on frame 23 I'm also going to move it just slightly so it's not like static, just a bit more. Go on. Now if I play it, do have equipping to dual wield. Just want to check because that arm, it's fine. So I'll be retargeting these animations when I have a little bit more time and doing all of the equip ones properly, because one more thing that might happen for you as well, I do have really long sword, so that is on this side, and then when I'm pulling it out it overlaps the body at some point, like goes through the body, and it doesn't look the best. So I'll probably retarget them and then leave them on the Patreon, but obviously if you want to spend a little bit more time on it, just do it. For me this one is fine. Now I'm going to go to top, select this, right click, bake to control rig, and bake animation sequence. I'm going to save it in animations, in this equip weapons, and this one will be dual wield underscore equip. Export. And now I do have this animation, and I'm going to duplicate it. This one will be unequip, and this one will be also -1 rate scale, except for, I feel like all of them animations are quite fast, so you equip weapons very fast. I'll probably change it, so I'm going to change the rate scale to 1. Slow it down, so 0.7. Yeah, 0.7 seems good. So on -1 is to be -0.7. This one -0.7. Still look a little bit more smoother when it's not as fast. Rate scale -0.7. 0.7. So if it's minus, you change it to minus. If it's plus, it's plus. -0.7. 200. 200 is the only one that I think I'm going to maybe keep, because that one takes quite a long of time. Putting it away, maybe 0.8. -0.8. Alright, save all. Now we need to create montages from all of them. So select them, shift and click on the last one, on the first one, right click, create any montages. And then for these montages, what we want to do on each one, we want to select not the default slot, but just upper body, because we want to be able to move while we drawing the weapon. So slot name will be upper body. We have it set up in the animation blueprint already, so that should work. Go to unequipped weapon montage, slot name upper body, just go through all of them. Don't change like a new slot or anything like that, just always create, just change that default one. Upper body, slot name upper body, slot name upper body, slot name upper body, and unequipped will be slot name upper body. And save all. And now I'm not sure if you can bulk edit this. Let me see. So if I select all of the montages, right click and asset actions, there's bulk export, size reference view, where am I? I don't think I can bulk edit the animations, the batch names. No, never mind. Okay, because I wanted to do inertialization for all of them, so it will look a little bit better. So change that manually as well, quickly. So inertialization for this one, all of the montages. And what inertialization does, it basically smoothly blends the animation. So if you were running, for example, and then suddenly pull out the weapons, it will just go a little bit nicer. So it takes the movement into account. Save all. Now we have that done. And just in case someone didn't catch up on the animation and setting up the upper body slot and stuff, in the ABP money, what we have is in the anim graph, we do have inertialization node, which is just added here before the control rig, and then for slots, we do have this upper body slot from the main states. So upper body slots actually blends for on the spine on one and goes 4 bones deep. And now we do have all of this set up. What we want to do is go to player, in event graph. I'm going to create comment here on the side. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the video, but I put away all of the nodes. So I do have now movement for swimming, potion drinking, sitting, so I don't have all of it here. And then in the comment section, I'm going to rename this to combat. I'm going to change the color to something like light reddish, but very light, like that. And this is where all of the combat events and functions will be kept, so we can find it easier. I'm just going to make it really big, because there is a lot of stuff we need to do. I'm going to leave the top space for like attacking, which is the primary thing, but down here I'm going to get this T. I'm going to use T for drawing out the weapons because it's quite close on the keyboard but not close enough, so we don't have to use this one for quick slots or anything. So T is like a good keyboard key. Obviously use anything you like. You can also use enhance input. I'm just using the default one. And here on the pressed, we want to do branch. And first thing, we're going to get our gameplay tags that we created, and we're going to check if it has tag. We need to create one for this, so go to gameplay tags, character, and in the checks we're going to add subtag, and this will be weapon equipped. So this is kind of like a boolean variable if the weapon is equipped. And here we can select it now. So check, is the weapon equipped? If the weapon is equipped, true, we're going to unequip weapon. I'll leave that empty for now. If it's false, we're going to equip weapon. First we need to get combat type that we set up and check if this one equals no weapon. Do another branch, because we don't want to be playing any equip animations if we don't have main weapon equipped. And I think I've noticed one more mistake that I made here in this combat type. Yeah, and that is this switch. The second one needs to go not from this one, but from this one. So here, drag an item type and do it in the second select. The reason is because this second one would never be weapon or shield or dual wield, because we can't equip it to the first index, only to the second one. Now back in event graph. So if we don't have weapon, that's true. I can just create notify for now, so I know where to change it later. So create our notify function. I'll do no spam, so we can't just keep clicking and then like pressing T and trying to equip weapon. When we don't have one, it will only create one. For now, I'm going to leave it as a pickup, and then on false, we're going to what we need to do, actually play the montage. So play montage. We're going to play it on mesh. Montage we're going to select. This will be based on the combat type. What we can do is promote this combat type to variable here, and this will be current combat type, so we don't have to run this all the time. And then we're going to connect this one here to this select. If you don't have weapon, we don't need to check because it will go to true branch here, but if it's 100, it will be 100 equip, 200 equip. For weapon shield, we do have 100 equip again. Dual wield is dual wield equip, and bow equip. That's all of them. So it will select the montage based on the current combat type, so what weapon we actually have in the slot. And then here, after, we want to set up notify, where we actually want to add weapon to the hand instead of the like back sockets. So on the montages again, let's go to, I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to add it to favorites, just so I have it always here as a quick access, and then go to animations, equip weapons, and we need to do it for everyone. So just right click next to this notify track, add notify and montage notify. This one will be spawn weapon. Double click so it refreshes, and now we need to position it where he actually grabs the weapon. So you can see he's grabbing weapon here, and that's where we will change the socket from the back to the hand, and it will actually attach it to the hand. So spawn weapon. Then we go to dual wield equip, and actually could have copied it from the bow instead of creating new one. Just copy this notify, go to another equip, which is dual wield. Here I'm going to paste it and then find the location where I actually want to drag out the weapons, which is here. For this one is probably right at the beginning. Then 100 equip is probably the same, so I paste it here. So the very beginning he's already got hands there. For some reason my first frame didn't import correctly. When I created that animation, you can see my arm is not where it's supposed to be. I'll have to look at it later. Dual wield equip. Or is that only on the montage? Okay, dual wield equip montage. And this is dual wield equip. What was I stupid? It's working now. Right, okay. Never mind. So spawn weapon, dual wield. Next one is 100 equip. Ah, that was 100 equip. Oh yeah, okay, never mind. So this one is fine because he's holding the shield as well or something. And as I said, for just 100, when you don't have a shield, you can move the arm down and do a separate montage. I'll probably do it later as well. And now for 200 equip, you want to move it somewhere here, like here when he's grabbing the weapon. So paste it, and it will be here. Save all again, and then back in the player. Now on notify begin, we're going to first, let's switch from this, from the name, remove default pin, so hide it, add a pin, and this one needs to be spelled the same way as the montage notify, which is spawn weapon. Spawn weapon. If you're not sure, you can copy it from here, so it's exactly the same, otherwise it won't work. Actually, it should work anyway because it will be connected to a notify begin, but later we might add some different notifies. So compile and save. On notify begin, we'll spawn weapon, and then we want to create a function that will equip the weapon and change from the back socket to hand socket. So let's create a new function. This one will be equip weapon. And here in the equip weapon, what we want to do first is do branch. Actually, no, let's not do branch. Let's get attached actors and equipment info. We need both of them. So just to remind you, attached equipment info got all of the info of the attached item, like weight, stats, and all the other stuff. And attached actors is a reference to a mesh itself. So like when we attach sword to the back, this has all the references inside. So we need to find actor on index 0, which is our main hand, and check is valid. This is just to prevent us from some issues later on when we're changing the weapons. If it's valid, then we're going to attach actor to component. If it's valid, attach actor to component. This will be the actor target, and parent will be player mesh. Socket, we can either do switch, or since the sockets got exactly the same name as the item type, you can just break this one open. Sorry, first find index 0 and then break it open, and now we got item type, and we can do enum to string and connect it to socket name. Snap to target as well. And just so you know, if you don't want to do enum to string, which apparently is not the best thing to use in general, that's not how it's supposed to be done, but it works for me and doesn't cause any issues. But we can also do select here, and then based on item type, we can type the sockets in ourselves. But I'm not going to do it here. I'll do it for the offhand or for unequipping weapons. For now, this works fine. So enum to string and connect it to socket name. But if it's not valid, that means we may be changing weapons or something, and this is not equipped yet. That will come in handy later. We're going to have to spawn actor from class, and class will be from this one. And transform, we need something, so we're going to make transform, set it x to 500. Again, it doesn't matter because we're attaching it directly to component after. And then from here, what we want to do is get these attached actors, and again, we need to keep reference, so we'll add this return value to an actor on index 0 because that's the main hand, and connect it back here. And this is it. This will basically just find the actor that is attached to the stow socket and then attach it to hand socket instead. And we also need to do it for offhand. So before this, I'm going to add sequence. And pretty much copy this whole thing. Paste it and then add the second sequence to this one. So from here to here. Here we need to find index 1 because it's offhand. Here we need to find index 1, and here we need to save it at index 1. The rest of it is the same, but since offhand can sometimes not be equipped, we also want to, before this, we'll add one more branch and check from the class is valid class. Connect it before, and only on true we'll execute. Alright, and this is the function that will equip the weapons, at least change the correct socket. And now in event graph, we can go to spawn weapon and equip weapon. Compile and save. So as soon as there is that spawn socket, it will go to this equip weapon. And now we can actually test it out. So if I were to play the game, grab sword and shield for example, equip both of them, and then press T. You can see I drag out the weapons. We can't hide it yet, I can just spam it that it will be actually equipping. So this is how it equips. If you want to see 200, you can get 200, equip it, and just drag it out, and there we go. And we move it. We don't have it on the bug, we have it on the player itself. And this is probably a good place to stop, because we still need to do the whole unequip weapon function and then prevent spamming it with the gameplay tags and stuff like that. So I will see you in the next one.